Okay, good.
For my good.
You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? Paul Pasalakis, Salvatore Kuzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Great.
Great.
Yeah.
We have...
Good.
Yeah,
Good. Regular
Good.
Wednesday
Great. Grand.
tradition, though. I mean, it's like every Wednesday, for some reason, there's just even a little snow dusting.
It has been every Wednesday for the last 2 months.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
And we record our show on
been
Wednesdays, and it has been... Today's actually been the best out of the last month.
Lies.
Yeah. But anyways, we have a very special guest, Mr. Steven Schaefer. How are you, sir?
Great. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure, man. So Steven hails from Caldwell Banker Weir Emanuel. I have a hard time. Whatever.
It's all right. Everybody does.
It's just
You're not alone on that.
It's hard, man. Can we just call it something else?
Everybody throws the A in there, like Caldwell. It's Coldwell Banker.
Coldwell Banker.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. It's
CBWM.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's not any easier.
No, CBWM. Anyways, so Steven, obviously, we wanted to have you on the show. I want to talk about your story. Before we get started, obviously, thank you for everybody that subscribes, that listens to us, that reviews us. We're really, really proud of the show that we're putting together. And at the same time, we know it sucks, so we appreciate everybody actually being nice to us. Steve, tell us about your story. So first and foremost, it's interesting, the story with Steve, how you go by Steven. Can I call you Steve?
Yeah, that's
Steve?
fine.
Steve?
Steve's good.
Okay. All right. So it's funny because you hit me up on Facebook one day.
Yes.
And this is actually how we started our relationship. Is you were like, hey man, I've never really had a good lender, and I heard you guys are good. I'd like to talk to you guys.
Right.
So I do want to talk about the importance of having a good lender as a real estate agent. I think it gets missed, and I think what some agents look for in a lender sometimes isn't congruent to actually being successful as a real estate agent.
Sure.
Right. So I want to talk about that because I think that's an interesting topic, which we don't really get into too much. And it sounds self-serving because obviously we're on the other end of it. But I think it's important for a lot of agents and a lot of people out there to understand that team is important. Right.
100%. I think the loan officer, especially in most cases, a lot of times I pick up buyers that are not pre-approved, and referring them out to a loan officer. If they don't do a good job, it reflects really poorly on me and my business and my chances of, working with that client in the future. Tara Chody referred you guys
from Real Producers of
Real
County.
Producers of Oakland County.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And just in the short time of getting to know you guys, like I'm working on a deal with Sal right now, and the communication level. Not only with myself keeping me up to speed, but the client, I know he's really he's already made comments to me about how happy he is with the referral and the job that Sal and you guys are doing at Omega.
So for sure, and again, I want to get into that, but first I want to start with your story, right?
Sure.
So you've been in the industry for about a little over a year, right?
No, I've been licensed for 3 years now.
3 years, right?
So my journey is probably a little unique to most. I grew up in South Florida, playing hockey.
Where?
So just
Those are three things you don't hear very often.
Well, I mean,
South Florida.
Yeah, I was born in Miami.
You were?
Yeah, I was born in
my wife was living in Sunny Isles when I met her.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah.
So I started playing roller and then transitioned to ice. And when when I was about 11, my family relocated to Detroit, Hockey Town.
For hockey? For you?
For hockey, for me, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was
Get out of here.
yeah.
A South Florida kid moving to Michigan to play hockey. That is wild.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. This is.
You're the only one I know, dude.
Yeah.
No, we
Never
had,
heard the story before.
We had kids, coming from all over the country. I mean, this is Hockey Town. It's very high level of youth hockey in this area.
Yeah, for sure.
And but played hockey all through college.
Where'd you play?
I played at Canisius College. It's a small private Jesuit school.
Okay.
It's D1.
But that's all okay.
In Buffalo, New York.
So you're a competitive athlete.
Yeah, very competitive, and I think that's helped me transition to real estate.
Yeah.
That's interesting because a lot of athletes
We've
do
had some
well.
really good athletes on the show who are now killing it in real estate.
There's something to be said about being in an athletic program and being at a high level competitive spirit, and then using that because it is such a self-driven business
Right.
that you have to be competitive to be able to really want to win, right?
But
Right.
you also have to be the wiring.
Coachable.
The wiring in your brain is very similar from an athlete to this business because you
Well,
have to be repetition
I
over
think
and over and over doing the same
successful
things.
athletes are competitive with themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And improving themselves,
Which is very
and-
odd because Sal is the most unathletic person I know. So
That is true. That is true.
so okay, so you moved to Michigan.
Thank you for not giving me that title.
Yes.
You get out of college. You probably have dreams of grandeur. You want to be in the NHL.
Right. I never, after college, I'd never given it thought to like, okay, what's the real world like? What am I going to do now?
You were so focused on hockey.
So focused on hockey every day of my life. And so that took some time to kind of think about what I wanted to do.
yeah.
But after college, I got into, I went through the PGA Golf Management Program.
Now you want to be a golfer.
And, well, I did it to be able to do golf instruction. That's what my grandfather did.
Yeah.
And he made a big impact on my life. He's still in South Florida now.
Yeah.
He goes to the driving range every day and gives golf lessons
good
and
golfer?
instruction. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I don't
Listen,
play.
when someone says
I don't.
yes, they're a good golfer, that means they're pretty good.
I don't
Golf
play
is
any.
hard.
I don't play anymore. But when I was really going after it, I
Yeah.
got really good at it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, went through. You have to go through like a playing ability test to be a certain,
Yeah.
basically be able to shoot a certain score
Yeah.
to be able to instruct people. So
Yeah.
did that for a couple years. I was at Bloomfield Hills Country Club in the summertime, and
Nice
then in the
club, yeah.
winter, I was back in Florida on Sanibel Island at a really nice club down there. So I had a great setup.
You had a good childhood. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great journey.
So you're doing this. You're going into this whole like a management golf management thing. What happened? How does that get into real estate?
Well, there's a lot of factors, I think, but looking back on it, I'm the type of person that gets bored pretty easily. And, I got into it thinking like I was going to be on the golf course and being able to teach people how to play. When you're an assistant pro, a lot of your duties are
Cleaning clubs.
a little bit of that,
Yeah.
but running tournaments and events, dealing with the members. I was literally locked in a golf shop for 60 hours a week. And there's not a lot of there's not a lot of money in the golf industry. I mean, you look at equipment manufacturers are struggling.
Yeah.
The lack of the amount of play for most people has declined. Nobody has the time to go spend 4 hours at the golf course.
Trust me, I know.
So I just saw a lot of things,
has time.
and plus, in order to get like a head position at one of these prestigious clubs, you've got to put 20, 30 years in to get to that point. So I transitioned into real estate because I wanted to build a business. I wanted something that was going to push me, inspire me, and that was going to be different, that I wouldn't get bored with.
Yeah.
But also, I've always been intrigued with real estate. I thought the timing was perfect too.
So that was what, 2016?
Yes, 16.
Okay.
And just looking at it too, like the barrier of entry for this industry, it cost me a couple $100s, and
Zero.
I didn't have to go get a master's degree or go back to school. I literally took a 5-day accelerated course and took the state exam like 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
So with a couple $100 in less than 2 weeks, and I was licensed to sell real estate.
If you're breathing, you can sell real estate.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. There's not. Yeah. Barrier of entry is very minimal, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many agents out there.
Right. The
Yeah.
competition is certainly very competitive.
At the top level.
At the top level,
Yeah.
but there's certainly a lot of potential in this business.
So when you got into the industry, so let's talk about because a lot of people think real estate's sexy,
Right.
and I'm going to get in, and I'm $1 million listing guy, and I'm going to go
Right.
show all these houses, and I'm just going to make a ton of money, and
Sure.
I'm going to have it's just there's this aura about it, and it can be very lucrative. It is very lucrative but if you're good at it, but to be good at it, you got to do a lot of work. So
You
talk
do.
to me about your first year and how crappy that was.
Yes. So literally the first 3 months, I showed up at my office every day. I made calls. I talked to people. I sat open houses. I followed up with everybody and did not sell a house.
3 months. Yeah.
3 months.
So
And
how do you not get discouraged through that?
you know what? The way I live my life is I always look at, even to this day, I'm just thinking about the future and the long term.
Yeah.
So I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I had my heart set on it. So I didn't get discouraged, but I see it, especially with new agents now. I mean, they like you said, they expect to show up and sell a $500,000 house their first day on the job, and it doesn't work like that.
Right.
You've really got to put the
Gotta
time
earn
in.
your
And
stripes. Yeah.
you really do.
Yeah. So I tell this to people that get into the business. It's like if you're not prepared
Mm-hmm.
for a full year of a
Right.
bloodbath,
Right.
it's an absolute even
Live in
mortgages.
poverty.
Yeah, it's a bloodbath, right? Even somebody getting into the mortgage, it
Well,
takes a
it's
long
the
time.
difference between starting your own business and working for someone,
Yep.
right? If you go and you work somewhere and you get a salary or hourly or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you are basically working for a business that's already built, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to go out and do real estate, mortgage, insurance, whatever,
Work for yourself.
you have to build a book. You
Yeah,
know, you got to
build
build
a network. Yeah.
build your business and build processes and things
and it's
like
not
that.
for
And-
everybody, right?
And some places will go and give you leads and do all these things, but A, you're not going to make as much, and B, you don't have your own self-sufficient business, and you will be a slave to that forever. We can talk more about that later. But so first year, bloodbath, right?
Yeah, it was a very successful year. To me, I was wanting to do a ton of business, and so I set really high goals for myself.
Yeah, of course.
And but yeah, taking a step back and looking at it, it was very successful. And in year 2, I doubled my business. Made over 6 figures, which again goes back to the barrier. The cost to enter the industry. If you work really hard, if you're consistent with it, I don't know many other professions where spend a couple $100s to get your license. And by year 2, you're making that kind of money.
Here's what so people say like the cost of starting that business.
Right.
It's not an actual monetary cost, Sal. It's sweat equity.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
how much
Yes.
how much of your time,
It's emotional
energy,
equity.
Right.
and everything you put into it. That's the cost of barrier.
Yeah,
of
even
entry.
with that being said, though, right? And granted, super high level best surgeons in the country make stupid money, right? But at the same time, and granted, I think that it's worth it.
Yeah, they're
but
saving people's lives, dude.
we're not doing that, right? But
Someone might
at
die,
the same
so.
time, it is.
That
it
likely
is
that.
crazy, like you said, right? Couple $100, 2 weeks. Yes, you got to work. You got to work at everything you do, right?
Yeah.
But
If you want to be good,
yeah,
yeah.
But it's
Like doctors didn't get to be a doctor without going to like a ton of school and
a
working
ton of
like-
school and
yeah.
working very hard. I'm
Yeah.
saying I don't know if, I mean, granted, we all work hard. I'm not trying to discount that, but man, think about that, right?
Yeah, I
like you
couldn't
go
do
There's
it.
a difference.
go
though.
to school for 10 years and you make,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of nuts.
yeah.
But a doctor comes out of college, generally, they get a job pretty quick, and they're making money.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
they
secure,
also
right?
have $300,000
secure.
in student loan debt,
Yes.
bro.
Right. No, it's stupid.
They start in the hole right away.
Yeah, but for someone like us or you, who the cost of entry is very low, and you got to grind,
Mhm.
right? You still got to put in the same amount of work. It's debatable, right? But it's a lot of work.
Right. It's
But
not
you're living
easy.
in poverty, right? A lot of people.
Or you have to prepare
You have
to
no
live.
money, right?
Yeah.
If you have a family, you're probably giving up in a month because you can't afford it.
Well, the drop off, and you can talk about this, right? Is you probably started with 10 people, let's say hypothetically. And how many of those are around now?
Just myself.
Yeah, exactly. It's
That's how
hard.
it is.
It's hard to push through the. It's easy to enter, hard to push through the ceiling.
So yeah, the message I think is to anybody listening who is either is thinking about getting into the business or is early on in their business. It's like, dude, it's gonna suck. And there might be the one shooting star that like pops off and they get really really fortunate and they hit everything, but that is rare.
Very rare.
Right? It's rare, and it's also very rare to be an elite within a year or two, right? And it's also even rare to make $100,000 in your second year. If you told me in your second year you made 50, I'd be like, that okay, you're on your way.
No,
right?
that's great. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So those are proper expectations instead of the $1 million listing expectations,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's good. And now that you're in your business now, and, we were talking about this the other day. You're like, it's funny. For a long time I was grinding, and now you're like, my phone's ringing now,
Right.
a little bit more. Like people are calling you now, where that's like the next evolution, right?
Yeah, I've seen it just in the past couple weeks. I have probably 5 or 6 listings coming up, and I've been very heavy at working with buyers.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to get referrals and people trusting me to list their houses, which is cool. It's going to be different for my
Uh-huh.
business.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to take me to the next level.
Yeah, just so the audience understands that maybe isn't in the real estate business, the evolution of a good real estate agent is obviously that you start showing buyers because it's more labor intensive. You're showing them a ton of houses. You're getting calls at 6 o'clock at night. I want to go look at a house, and you've got to be on call. It's not like
Right.
it's very very labor intensive. So the next evolution after that, a lot of times is getting listings. Because listings, yes, you have to market the home. There's a different acumen that you have to be good at. But the reality is, you put up a house, and now you just schedule showings. It's a much better existence on that side of it.
Yes.
But here's something that happens a lot. A real estate agent all of a sudden now gets a few listings. Oh, I don't do buyers.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
I see that.
Yeah, what do you mean? Like, the same person that's listing that house is probably buying another house, but they're not doing that transaction.
Yeah, it's amazing how
I
many
don't get
times I meet buyers that they have their house listed with another agent,
Yep.
but yet they want to find a new agent to help them on the buy side.
How odd is that?
It blows my mind.
It is because they just like that listing agent probably just doesn't put a value on showing them houses.
No, I think they probably lose touch with them a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Whatever it is, it is a weird. I always wonder that because we'll have listing agents come to us and we'll talk to them. We're like, look, your business model isn't great because you're not working with buyers. We want buyers, right, on our end, on the mortgage side, and it's like if you don't have buyers from the listings you're getting, how does that work?
I mean, it goes back full circle here to what we were talking about. It's the hard work that really pushes people to be successful in this business. So the people that are kicking back and just taking half the potential, right? They're taking the listing and not
It's
the
so
other
weird to
transaction.
me.
Well, you know, and
just think
it's
about
not
the
even that
little.
you're not
That's a
working
little
hard.
bit of effort to
It's-
really
it's
push them
just-
through.
That's kind of where they say like, work smarter, not harder, right? And it's like, hey, these listings are lead generators, right?
Yeah.
It's each one of them is its own lead gen. So if you have 5 listings, you should be able to generate probably 15 buyer leads. Maybe you'll convert 2 of them,
Yeah.
right? One of them even.
agree.
But
Yeah.
you should be able to probably generate 5 buyers or 5 leads off of a listing.
I always say this, and a lot of people buy Zillow leads. They want to be a Redfin agent. They want to do whatever it is to get leads, and that is, I think, very short-sighted. If you're a real estate agent, you are in the lead generation business. You're out there creating the lead, right? And if
Right.
that is not how you think of your business, you're not going to have a long-term business a lot of times, unless you're always stuck on the teat of Zillow or whatever it is.
Yes.
Right.
It took me a couple of years to figure that out, and we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
But once I had that mind shift, it's
Yeah.
really opened a lot of doors for me.
Because then now you're creating your own wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and your own sphere and your own network. So that's awesome. So let's go back and talk about, because I do think it's important, and I don't think we talk about it enough. You came to a point where you realized that the people around you actually represent you.
Yes.
Right. And if your team around you isn't performing, ultimately you're not performing.
Right.
Right. And that was hurting your business, knowing that no matter how good you are, if the lender on that side or the title company or even like the inspector,
Yes.
any of those people, they drop the ball and they make you look bad. It is your brand now, right?
Right.
So talk to me about what caused you to be like, just have this like mental break where you reached out to me.
Well, someone told me, my mentor when I first started at Coldwell Banker, I've leaned heavily on her, but she told me what she's really learned over the years.
What's her name, by the way?
Leslie Dorn.
Good.
She's been in the business for, I think, 30 plus years.
So she knows her stuff.
Does a tremendous amount of business, and I really look up to her. But she told me to surround yourself with people that are a lot smarter than you and people that are going to make you look really good.
Well, you're in the wrong room.
So that's what I've tried.
Jessica might be smarter than you,
I've
it's
tried
all
to implement into my business. But it is amazing. It's hard to attain a client or keep a client, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier if you have great people around you, whether, like you said, inspector, loan officer, title people.
Yeah.
They'll keep, if it's a great experience and a good transaction,
They're coming back.
they're going to come
Or
back,
refer you
and
other
they're going to
people.
refer you to their family and friends.
Yep.
And so I really believe in that.
So talk. Oh, go ahead, Sal. Were you going to say
I was
something?
to say about a buyer, seller, whoever, a client, right? Like, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if they didn't need us, right? If they had cash, they'd buy the house, right? Or they wouldn't need a mortgage. If they thought that they could go negotiate deals themselves, they wouldn't hire a realtor. They thought that they could go list on the MLS, they wouldn't hire a listing agent, right?
Mhm.
So to have them in our team and keep them in our group and make sure that, hey, I don't know that question. You need to ask Steve, right? As opposed to like, well, I don't even know who your realtor is, right? So
That happens a lot. Yeah.
it's good to have a team and make sure, like, not that it's almost like bumpers in a bowling alley, right? Like,
Sorry to cut you off. It's amazing how many times I get asked, "Oh, what's my monthly payment going to be for this house?"
And it's like, bro, call your agent. Call your loan officer.
Yeah.
That's not my lane.
Right.
And if someone asks me like, hey, what about this addendum, bro? I could probably answer it, but I'm not. That's
well,
not
we
my,
always get
that's not where
asked.
I'm at.
I always get asked, when do I get my keys? I'm like, I don't know. Ask your realtor. I mean, like,
Yeah. Well, they're not answering the phone. Oh, why? Oh, I don't know. They're a Redfin agent. I haven't talked to them forever.
yeah, or it's well, they don't really know. They told me to ask you. I'm like, okay.
This is what buyers and
It
consumers
happens.
in general and in the complicated transaction don't even realize sometimes how complicated it is. They don't even realize the questions that they need. And what people actually need, and I think agents should understand this, is they need someone to tell them what to do.
Yes.
Right? They need some, and the consumer doesn't even understand that yet. They don't even know that I need someone to tell me what to do. I want to get the best price. They're thinking about that. But the reality is, you need someone to navigate the waters for you. If I'm walking through the jungle in the Amazon, I need a guy to like cut down the trees and show me where I'm going. Right? I'm not going to figure it out on my own.
Right.
Right? We're in the jungle, bro.
Right. Imagine if like you went to your doctor.
That's a soundbite right there.
Imagine if you went to your doctor and let's say they're like, hey, if you don't lose 20 pounds, you're gonna die. Right. And
Is this a real conversation?
yeah.
But
But imagine the doctor being like, I don't know. I don't know if he'll like to hear.
What do you
that,"
want to do?
You know,
what do you want to do?
No, I don't know if that's gonna offend him or whatever.
Oh,
like
yeah,
as a
yeah,
loan
yeah.
officer, you need to be like,
This is what the
you have
reality
to
is.
you have to do this. You know, your credit is not good enough, or this or that, right? Or like to on the
You
realtor
should
side,
list your
you
house
have
at
to
X.
do this.
Yeah.
You should take this offer, right?
Yeah.
It's not an insult.
You got to tell them
No,
what they need
it's-
to know,
Right.
not what they
it's
want
a
to hear.
blessing, right?
For sure.
Like you should
Yeah.
take it, right?
Even loan officers, they're terrified sometimes to ask for another document.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I
man,
need-
I
I
don't
need
want to
tax
ask
return.
them,
I
and then
need
they
tax
wait. They
returns.
sit on it for 2 or 3 days, debating if it's needed or not, or calling
No.
underwriters,
Well,
and it's like, yeah, that's needed. Just
So
get it.
that goes back to two different things. One is your point about if the client could do it themselves, we wouldn't exist, right? But on top of that, it's the back to good versus bad loan officer, good versus bad real estate agent is setting the expectation. When you first talk to that client, you need to be assertive and tell them, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not gonna fairy dust around everything. I'm gonna lay it out for you, and we're gonna work through this together. But I'm gonna be very real with you. And setting those expectations make those conversations down the road way easier. It's the people that don't set the expectations or maybe set the expectation of everything's going to be easy and rainbows, then that they're wishy-washy about having those
Yeah.
conversations. It's
I
night and day
agree.
difference.
Just say it how it is. So, Steve, when prior to you reaching out, tell me about an experience that you had that made you realize that I need a better team around me.
I mean, there's been a lot. I've done a lot of transactions where it hasn't been the smoothest at times.
Yeah.
And you grow and you learn from that.
Yeah.
Whether it was inspectors being overly, I guess, scary, if you will, about a home when they didn't need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Don't freak them out, man.
especially first-time home buyers. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and
Like, you're going to need a roof in 10 years. You better start thinking about that now.
My dad
exactly.
would probably be one of the most qualified inspectors. However, the worst one.
Because he'd scare the
He
crap
beat,
out of you.
Yeah, he beat the whole house up.
Yeah.
Look at that paint. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So but back to fortunately I've caught on with a good inspector and I use them on 95% of my deals.
It's part of your team now.
He's part of my team.
Yeah. It's so imperative, and I say this all the time. So sometimes real estate agents look at these people, these ancillary people, as just pieces of the puzzle that are disconnected, right? And they don't ever put them all together and keep them like connected to where they're controlling the vibe, like not controlling, but creating an atmosphere of like winning, right?
Mhm.
It'd be like if I created like a football team, but my quarterback coach was like calling in from like Wisconsin to talk to my quarterback, but he's not on the field with them, right? You just need someone that's
Well, it's a
part of the team.
business. You should know the facets of your business. It's not going to be the same every time. People don't always want to work with your team,
Yeah,
right?
but a lot of real estate agents put a lot more stock on, hey, pay me money and so I can buy some leads, right? Hey, do this for me, do that for me, do that.
Right,
but
but
the
the-
actual value that we
I don't
give,
think we're talking about business people. That's the difference, I think, between good
Some of
real
them
estate
are.
agents and not. They're business people or they aren't.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I guess you're right. I guess
So-
you're right. Yeah, the value that they place on the actual business is different, right?
Yeah. Now that might come with, hey, pay for some of our leads, but that's how their business is built. So
I'm okay paying for leads if it's like, hey, we're doing this together. We're gonna figure out how
yeah,
to do
no, I'm
these
just
leads,
saying,
right?
you know, there's get rich quick real estate agents, right? And then there's business people.
Yeah,
And that's
that's a
the
good way to
difference.
put it.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it. So now let's fast forward. So now you're in your business in 2019. That's where we're at. 19. Man,
Good
do you remember?
morning,
You remember
Paul.
when like 2000 like flipped over and it was like a big deal? We thought the world was gonna end. I feel
Yeah,
like
I think I was
just-
like 11.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't. I was
Yeah, you're
20. So, anyways, so now we're in 2019. What are you doing this year? Because obviously, a lot of people start thinking about, okay, new year. What am I going to do? What are my goals? What do I want to be? Right? Who am I going to be this year? So, talk to the audience and talk to some people. Like, what are you thinking about 2019?
In terms of growing my business?
Yeah, or the and also the market. Like, how do you think that's going to play into everything?
Sure. So really, I sat down at the end of last year and kind of figured out where a lot of my business is coming from and what I can do differently to, connect with some of the other avenues in terms of lead generation.
Yeah.
But I put together a really good detailed business plan. But a lot of it stems from more of an old school approach, getting face-to-face with people, getting out and networking, but doing it from not from a sales place, just doing it from a very organic, grow the relationship over time, and but starting to see the fruits of that labor just in the short couple months.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's imperative, and I think some people do networking wrong.
Yes.
If that makes sense,
Yes.
right? They look at networking like, hey, buddy,
Where's the business?
Well, the thing I see too is I'll meet with someone and if I don't send them business like right away, they won't ever talk to me again. It's amazing.
Yeah,
they're so quick they just want to find that one person, right? That's going to send them 100 deals.
It's crazy.
And that drives me crazy.
They don't value the relationship.
No. It's not a real. It's a transaction.
You find out who they really are and what
those
they're
are
after.
Those are the type of people that when something goes wrong,
they'll disappear.
you're under the bus.
Yeah, I think people don't.
Everyone else is under the bus.
People don't
right?
understand, especially from the mortgage side of things, that good things take time, right? People get frustrated. People are like, go out and start, doing this, and then after 2-3 months, they're not closing, multi-million dollars of
they quit.
volume. They're
Stop
like, I'm going to go back to Quicken, or I'm going to do this. They're looking for the quick, low-hanging fruit, and that takes time, especially a relationship. I mean, even with ours, we went back and forth for like a month or so, just trying to find a time to get lunch, right?
Right.
But we're all busy.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, this guy's blowing. Like, it was just like, let's just get to know him.
Cool,
right?
like whenever.
Ultimately, that's what's most important. And there are agents, for example, that we don't work with right away, but we just get to know each other, right? On an organic, like, good human, let's get a beer. We might not ever do a deal for a year or two, and we might never do a deal. And we just might not be that kind of fit, but we know who each other are. There's a level of respect and love there, right? Where a lot of people are trying to network, and they're just trying to get business.
Yeah.
Get that out of your mind.
Right.
Get out there and meet people. Be a human. Get to know people. Create a environment where everybody's like, you're good with whatever you do. If you decided tomorrow to say, I'm not using you, I don't hold that against you. Like, that, we're still cool.
Right.
Right. I'm never gonna be mad at that.
Right.
You got to do what you believe is best for your business, and ultimately, we're gonna support that one way or the other. That's the right way. It's not the, hey man, take my card and I'm gonna shove it down your throat.
No, you have to treat people the way that you want to be
100%.
treated.
Yeah.
And they can sense that. If you're not being genuine or organic with them, people can sense that.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because a lot of salespeople don't get that there's no sale.
No.
The sale is who you are, and sometimes if you're a bad human, you're not going to make it because you're just a bad human. It's not going to work for you.
Sales is just selling yourself. You're selling your personality. The product doesn't matter if you're good at sales.
It's really hard for me, man. Not a lot of people like me.
That's very true.
I know.
Yeah, that's why Sal blows you out.
Stop
every
laughing,
month.
Jessica. I see you laughing.
It's like, aw.
Yeah. Well, you got to look, to me, right, like looking at how our business was built and how we feed ourselves, essentially, it all goes back to those good relationships that we started years ago.
Years. Yeah.
Years ago, and then looking at some of them and how long they took to get going. Right?
Yeah.
Some were leaps of faith, right? Working with someone and they're like, all right, I don't know this guy, but whatever, I'm going to refer you my sister. And it's like, wow, like to me, that's like gold, right? Like
That's the best compliment you can get, man. Like,
Yeah,
if
like,
someone's
okay.
willing to refer your family over to you, it's like, I don't take that lightly, bro. Like, I've had a lot of referrals lately, which is interesting in my career. That people are calling me, they're like, hey man, like I heard you do a good job, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like now we're talking. Now I don't have. I'm not like out there like hunting as much. Now people are just calling me and giving me meat.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but you can't get lazy either.
No,
that's the other thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the
Well,
easiest thing to do, I think, is once you kind of find your stride, right? The easiest thing to do is plateau.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
And
get
just be like,
complacent.
okay,
Yeah.
like I feel like month in and month out, I could close $2 million a month, which will pay the bills. Right. And
Or I don't have to take buyers anymore. I'll just take
in
listings.
figuring out, right, like the listing agent
Same
who
thing.
closes $600,000 a month of listings on average, right?
Yeah.
It's good money, right?
There's a big difference. I see it like in terms of my office between the agents that do maybe $5 or $6 million a year in volume. They're very comfortable. They're making a nice living.
But how do you get to 10?
But how do you get to 10 and
Yeah.
15?
And I believe wholeheartedly, and I know this is going to sound self-serving, but I don't mean it this way. I think wholeheartedly having the right team around you is important. Like we've seen, Sal, agents that were at
Yeah.
5-6, and then all of a sudden we help get them to 10.
Yeah, well, I don't
Right.
even think. I mean, that's part of it, right? But I think overall, it still rides in their wheelhouse, right? Of what to do and the systems to build, what to delegate. Like delegate your lending and whatnot, but it's the day-to-day activity that, like, for example, us, we wouldn't be able to get where we're at without our team, like Scott and Kyle, and like having those operational standpoints where you can.
You've got to build an ecosystem of success.
Yeah, like you have to have the control and have the voice in the conversation, yet use the people around you like a buyer's agent or showing agent, something like that, to keep you able to be in front of people. Right?
To your point, it's very difficult to build a team and lose the ability to be the when it's a referral based business. The danger is when you create a system that all of a sudden you remove yourself from the system. Well, you are the asset that's creating that. Yep. So a lot of places, what they'll do is they'll just remove themselves completely and create a conveyor belt. It doesn't work in a relationship business. We are the asset that's driving the business. So you've got to find a way to create a system around that where you are still the main asset.
Right.
Right. So that's it. That is interesting.
Or someone who can replace you and get along with everyone, which is extremely hard to find, right? I mean,
well, not for me, man.
You are definitely easily replaceable.
Yeah, I'm very replaceable. God, where did we go today? Like, how did we get down Paul Sucks?
I don't know. You just basically did it to yourself.
You did it yourself, and we all just started attacking.
Yeah. So, that's really interesting. So let's talk about the market in 2019, because I think it's going to be interesting. We just saw a report come out that December sales are up 5% across the country. Obviously, it's not so super hyper where we're at, but and it was at a low of in October. Everybody's talking about the end of the market, right? In October, everybody's like, "Oh, it's over. Rates are 5%. 2019 is going to suck." And I'm like, "No, dude, it's going to be fine. Like, right? It's just a blip." And then all of a sudden, it just started, dude. After like Thanksgiving, things just started rolling, right? And we personally just had one of our best months ever. And December is going to be a good month, or was a good month. And I believe the spring is going to be super busy. What do you think?
But just being in it every day, talking to associates and colleagues, I know everybody's business is up right now.
Yeah.
In terms of the market, I think buyers and sellers are really confident in what's going on right now in the stock market, the economy, especially in this area. But in terms of like the luxury market, I think has really jumped in the past 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
We've seen more sales above 700,000 than we did in previous years. So I think consumers are really confident right now.
That's a big leading indicator, because when the people with money believe in the market, right?
Yes.
Right. Just to be fair, like, okay, it's great when the 100, 200,000, 300, but when you have the luxury market moving, that means the people that are making the money, that have probably a closer touch with the market on that level, because they've got probably a lot more invested.
Yes.
If they're moving their money, that bodes well for the market.
I think the one thing that you'd have to think about, though, is are they seeing the signs of a potential downturn and they want to hop off the bus before it crashes, right? And granted, I don't think it's going to crash, right? But, like, that's one thought in my mind is, hey, like, that, like, crazy
There's
appreciation, it's like, all right, things are, like, kind of leveled out now, maybe even just very slightly going down. Like, it's time to sell if you want to sell in the next 2-3 years.
I totally agree with that, but it's the buy side that actually moves me more. But I think part of that, I think you're right. I think this spring is a window of opportunity for buyers who want to get into the market, because the interest rates and the price of money is still low. The market is still healthy. If you're looking to buy, you're going to be able to get in right now prior to any jumps in rates or right. So because rates with us are 4.25, 4.3, 4.5. That's cheap money.
Right. There's a lot of buying power out there.
It's just cheap money, right? Like people are always like, Paul, should I put 50% down on my house? I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, if I was you, I would put 5% down and take that other money. There's always arguments.
It's kind of crazy. Like, okay, if you can afford a $2,200 a month payment, right, which is roughly like a $330,000 house, right?
Depending on the area, yeah.
Like, for a couple hundred more, you can go $400. Right, and I mean, that's like the reality of how much buying power.
For 99 cents more,
right? I mean, it is kind of crazy though. Like, I don't think people realize the difference in payment for a house.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, hey, 180 to 250 or 275 is like $400.
I also don't
right,
think,
which is not I mean, it's like a car payment, right? But at the same
You're
time,
getting a lot more house and a bigger asset, right?
yeah, it's like I can't find anything or whatever. It's like,
Bump your price, dude. You'll be fine.
yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, a lot of clients that we talk to don't even realize, like when we tell people what they actually can afford per payment on their like for debt to income ratios for qualifying, they're like, dude, I don't want to go that high. Yeah. I'm like, well, that
Nobody does because it's stupid.
It's crazy because you can go up to like 50, sometimes 55%, sometimes over 55% of your income prior to taxes, prior to any other expenses, like cable, all that stuff. And they're like, dude, I can actually buy a house with that kind of payment. Yeah, legally you can. And they're like, I don't want that. I'm like, you probably shouldn't do that, dude.
You probably should not. Do
And
that.
on the flip side, sometimes you see what people net on their pay stubs, right? This is a big conundrum of mine right now. With
Say that again.
conundrum
Okay.
with self-employment versus W-2. I think it's complete BS as far as what people can buy or refi. I mean, I've got people who are calling me. They got $2 million free and clear houses. Well, I don't really show much income, right? I just want to get a $400,000 HELOC. Well, one, I don't do HELOCs, but two, sorry, you can't do it, right? You got to get something else. We got to do these crazy loans, and it's like, who wouldn't? I mean, you're taking out a quarter of the value on the house in a first lien position, right? I mean, that's a good buy, right? I feel like there should be other programs, and then you look at some of these W-2s. It's like, hey, man, is there a way you can put like $200 in your bank account so you can close? Like that's how short you are, right?
Sometimes
and
it's really
the DTI is
scary,
56.99. It's crazy.
It's all about mitigating risk, though. It's the same
But hey,
thing.
you
It's
could
the
buy
same
it.
thing about like getting into our type of business, right? If it's that risk, it's not knowing when's my paycheck going to come because you're basically self-employed versus I go get a salary job. There's some stability there. It's the same thing with lending, right? The W-2 employee has a salary.
I
There's
get
some
it.
stability there.
I get it, right? But it's the guy who's got
It still doesn't make a lot of
1.75%
sense, yeah.
equity in his house, right?
Yeah.
A losing investment for FHA
Yeah.
gets this guy approved, yet the guy who just trying to take out a 25 LTV cash out refi so he can go make money with
This has
it.
been coming up a lot.
Can't do
lately,
it, right? Like who wouldn't want that first lien?
And Steve, so you understand it comes up a lot where like you get a self-employed borrower who is doing
They
phenomenal.
got $300,000 in the bank.
They're doing phenomenal financially, right? And you look at their stuff and you're like, you don't qualify. But the dude that had a foreclosure 5 years ago that makes $40K, that's got 620 credit or 600 credit, they
Can buy
actually-
the same house.
They can actually get a loan.
Really?
It's crazy
Wow.
because of the way that the rules are made. I was talking to someone the other day. They're like, "Well, that doesn't make sense." I'm like, "Well, listen, you're trying to impose common sense in a
Yes.
business that has none. There's no common sense in our business."
Omega's 2020 plan: fund a viable self-employment product.
For ourselves,
False. False.
Yeah. And that's
Brad will
bad.
create
Strike
the
that from
underwriting
the record.
guidelines. Yeah.
Brad's sphincter just really tightened up.
Yeah.
there.
No, not happening.
So,
I'll be having.
so obviously, Steve, I mean, you're doing some good things, and so talk to us a little bit about. We didn't really go into this. You are having success in a relatively short period of time, and you are smart about your business. Talk to the audience about what it takes, in your opinion, to really like have the success that you're having. What are you doing to give yourself an opportunity to be successful?
Sure. I think just along my journey, I learned a lot about adapting, playing hockey, living with different billet families across the country.
What does that mean, billet family?
Like a housing family.
Got it. Okay.
So like my junior and senior year of high school, I moved to Topeka, Kansas to play junior hockey.
That's like
I was going to ask you if you played juniors.
Yeah, I played junior, so I lived with a billet family.
So you're like a foreign exchange student.
Yeah, you have to adapt,
Yeah.
and not only within that situation, but playing on numerous different teams. Every the personalities in every locker room are
Social
different.
skills.
The social skills you have to adapt. I look at it the same way with real estate, whether it's a listing appointment or a new buyer that I'm going to show a house. I try and listen and adapt to their needs and wants.
Yeah.
And then just work really, really hard for them.
Yeah, yeah. And talk to me about even that's just on the client side. But what about on the back end when you're in the office? Like when you walk in the morning, or what's your plan on a day-to-day basis? Like what are the 3 things or 4 things that you're like you have to accomplish on a daily basis?
So what I didn't do my first couple years was time block.
Yeah.
I time block for lead generation every single day.
Have to, right?
You have
the
to.
most important
You
thing
have
you
to.
got to do, right?
Because what I found was, yes, it took a little while to kind of get the pipeline going and deals going. And once I did, I stopped lead generating. So
That's what
I
happens.
closed those deals,
And you had nothing.
and I
coming
had
back.
nothing. So it took me another couple months to kind of
Get
you know
that going
get
again.
things rolling again.
Yeah, that's we talk about this all the time.
We're in the lead gen business.
Lead gen, you
Right.
you cannot stop lead
Whether
gen.
that's cold calling, whether it's generating off your listings, working
Meetings,
your sphere, face
everything.
to face, beating the streets, going after businesses. You got to do something to keep the pipeline going because
Yeah.
if you think of the concept of a pipeline, right, it's only good if there's something in it.
Dude, we are in the lead generation business. Whether
Right.
whether it's us or you or whoever it is, we are. And it doesn't have to be. It sounds a little dirty, right? I'm generating leads. No, we're creating relationships the right way, and out of that, we're gonna get business, and that's lead generation. It doesn't have to be like cold calling a book of like the yellow pages, whatever it is, and all of a sudden just going through. It could just be calling your friends and be like,
Right.
hey man, let's go get a drink.
They're very soft touches.
Yeah, just getting in front, just being there.
Well,
right?
and to his point earlier, learning to adapt your style, right? Like every time we get a referral and we call it, you never know how it's going to go, right? Someone could be like, "Oh man, this guy's super cool. He's like ready to talk to you." You call him, yeah, I'm at work. Can you just call me later? I don't know.
Text me.
And then other times it's like, yeah, I don't know who this lead is. You call them, they're super open to it. There's different styles. There's people looking for different things, right? And you have to understand what they want.
Got to know your
up
audience
front to help them out, right? I'm looking for the lowest rate and fee. No,
Yeah, and then we get people that are
fair
standoffish
enough,
in our business,
right?
Yeah.
Or, man, I'm just looking to get more, or someone to take care of me. This guy doesn't answer my calls, so you kind of over communicate with them, make them feel good. Like,
So lead generation. What are the two other things that you have to do every day? Because you just completely got cut off.
Well, we got on it. So
So I guess how I structure my day is in the mornings I usually do all of my lead generation, and then I work in my business in the afternoon and evenings. A lot of times it's just showings, listing appointments, but yeah, I'm always trying to look for different avenues to build more business and get more leads.
okay, yeah, in or on your business, you got to find a good balance on that. I think there's, we get caught in that. Are we in or on, right? And it's like sometimes you get stuck being in, and when you should be on, right? So that's good. So we do a thing called 3 questions.
Okay.
This is something we started recently, for the most part, right? We should do a 3 questions for us.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So first question we ask everybody is, what scares you?
I think the scariest thing in my line of work is there's no guarantee that I'm going to sell a house in 2019, like going forward. So that's pretty scary when you kind of take a step back and look at it or think about it. But it's also very motivating too, because the sky's the limit in terms of what I can do this year,
Yeah.
or what we can do as agents.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what motivates me, but that's probably the scariest thing that I think about at night.
Okay, next question. Throughout your life, your hockey career, through everything, who do you look at as the one person that was most influential on who you are today?
Certainly my grandfather.
Nice.
Yeah, just the way he carries himself, our connection since I was little, but just the person he is.
What are the things he kind of taught you?
So probably one thing is your presentation is everything.
Nice.
He was in education for a number of years, and he got up in the morning and shaved and put on his suit every single day.
Yeah.
And not only presentation with the way he dressed and his appearance, but his presentation with his words and how he spoke to people. That's really, I think, separate myself a little bit in terms of my business. Just doing the little things, being diligent with the easy things to do, showing up on time, being punctual, those types of things.
That's
you were
awesome.
very on time today. He called me at like 8:40, and I was like,
yeah, and I was late.
Man.
But
yeah, no, it's good.
he sounds like a great dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you could be one animal in the animal kingdom, what would it be and why? I'd be a sloth. Those things are awesome.
I don't know. I'm fascinated with lions. I think they're just incredibly beautiful, but they have that powerful side to them.
It's really good because that's our logo.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
That's good. We're on the same. Yeah, that's all.
No, it is. They are crazy. Like you think of, it's crazy. They're a cat.
They're a big cat.
Like they are a huge cat.
Huge. They're not going to purr next to you though.
No,
They might.
Yeah, and cats aren't nice. I had a cat once. This is a funny story, and my cat would like purr next to me, and all of a sudden my cat would just start twitching and just bite me. I'm like,
We call that the Apostle Octopus.
I'm like, what
Could you
happened?
imagine if there were dog equivalents of? I mean, there's wolves, right? But
Of
like
a
of
lion?
a lion, like something that big. That's a dog.
Yeah, what's the biggest dog? I mean, that's like ferocious. What's the most ferocious, other than like a Doberman? Is there like a big ferocious? I mean, there are just big cuddly animals.
I
There's
was
dogs that look
bit
like
by a
bears.
German Shepherd
Yeah.
door
Yeah.
knocking for a client.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, those things
Yeah.
are way they will
On
kill
the
you.
hand or something?
On the back of my on my
man.
hamstring. Yeah.
I had
when
a-
I was going door to door sales. There's a breed of a dog that is like a bear, legit.
Yeah,
It's
I know. They're
huge.
Akitas or like
They're
yeah.
huge.
They're huge in Japan. They breed them to be
They're
huge. Yeah,
massive.
but they're teddy bears.
They're scary.
I'll tell you the most ferocious dogs are those little yappy ones, dude. My buddy had one and it started chasing me around. I started running like I was a scared little girl, and it like nipped me and I kicked it, and it got airborne. My buddy was not
That's
happy.
not nice.
It attacked me.
It's a dog.
It's a ferocious dog. It was like a gerbil, dude. It was horrible. All right, that's enough.
I've never kicked. I've never kicked a gerbil.
That's enough.
It's a gerbil.
So Steve, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you. Obviously, you do really good work. We're really, I love your work ethic. You're doing a really good job. So tell the audience how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so my office is in Rochester, but I work with buyers and sellers all over Metro Detroit. My cell phone is 248-935-1807, or you can email me at schaefer.cbwm.com, and that's SHAFER on the spelling for the last name.
Yeah, and
One F.
and we'll have it on the link
One F,
for the
yes.
show. Yeah. So you're about your business when you give your cell phone out. You'll have people on here. I mean, no offense to anybody, but they'll be like, call my office line.
No,
no.
I welcome you to call my
Yeah,
cell phone.
because like that's all we. I mean, if you're not really living off your cell phone, you're probably not all over.
Do you remember
yours.
home phones?
I'll pick up too if you
Yeah.
call me.
home phones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are weird if you think about it now.
Yeah, it's like
I remember when cordless phones first came out. Like it was like a big deal. We had a cordless phone because back in the day you'd have that 50-foot cord and you'd be walking around the house.
There'd be like millions of coils in it because you like looped it around too many times.
Last thing before we go, how about when you had AOL and you'd run the 30-foot cord from the kitchen to your bedroom so you can get on AOL and get on. So you can get on. Yeah, dude. And your mom's mad because she can't get her calls from Greece. Sorry, Mom.
that is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
like you
it.
pick up the phone and someone's on the 56K or whatever, the
Yeah.
dial up. You're like,
Yeah. You know the big worst
Playing
thing?
Duke Nukem online, all of a sudden it
or
kicks
just
out because someone
on
picked up
AIM,
the phone.
Duke
on
Nukem,
AIM, waiting for people,
Wolfenstein.
just talking
Yes.
to people,
Doom.
Doom was good.
making some like depressed away message.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening. Jessica, thank you for being here every week. And I know that
My pleasure.
I know you live around the corner, but like I really appreciate you being here.
Aw, thanks. I like your show.
Really?
So thanks for
It's
being
fun.
here.
You-
So shocked. Really?
I know, that was like pure surprise.
It was.
You're horrible. So thank you everyone for listening. Steve, thank you so much for being on the show,
Yeah.
man. I'm really looking forward to seeing your success in 2019, dude.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
for
it.
sure. Thank you, everyone. Please go to our Facebook page, Inside IRE Podcast, irepodcast.com, Podcast Detroit, anywhere you listen
You need to
to
like write a
podcasts.
list down.
Yeah, you really do.
You're like, go to like Stitcher.
Go
and-
to,
You do
go
it.
down to the coffee shop and
You
ask
do it.
them,
I'll get a list.
You
or,
do it.
or
From now
something.
on, that's all your thing. You do the outro.
toss
Okay.
over to Sal.
All right.
Find us online.
I have so many things I want to say right now. I love you all. I love everyone. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.